Friday night under the lights of the beautiful Dorrance Field for one of the best rivalries in sports. Duke in town to take on the #4 team in the country, the North Carolina Tar Heels, with a lot on the line. A North Carolina win would mean a home game in the ACC men's soccer tournament. As you take a look at those standings, 3 points would give UNC that 2 seed and that coveted home game. Still a lot to shake out in the North bracket of the ACC standings. And hello, everybody. I'm Dean Linke alongside Kyle Straub. Kyle, you saw the standings. Duke, North Carolina, doesn't get any better than this.
All you need is Duke, North Carolina. Add a little spice to college athletics' greatest rivalry. I am really excited for this one tonight.
They kicked off the season in Durham, and 2 set pieces were the difference for the Tar Heels.
Right away, 4 minutes in, it was Matt Constant with the header. A perfect ball from Milo Garvani and served it in from the right side. And North Carolina never looked back. They added a second set-piece goal in the second half from Herrera. And in that second half, it was Alex Smur, the goalkeeper, who really stepped up for the Tar Heels. Stopped a corner kick that would have been a goal for Duke with about 20 minutes left to go. It was still just a 1-0 game at that time. He's going to need to be equally big tonight for the Tar Heels. Steal a goal or 2 away from Duke and give that offense a chance. He has only given up 4 goals so far this season. He's one of the elite keepers in the country.
Carlos Samuano singing his praises. Meanwhile, Duke counting on their defense, and they'll be led by their captain in the back.
And we showed you on that second goal a little bit of a break in the wall on that set piece. Frick, the senior on that back line, ton of experience, ton of energy. He's going to be the one who's responsible to make sure everybody is where they are, keep everybody accountable, and make sure your offense has a chance to win.
You know the deal. When it's Duke and North Carolina, throw out the records. It doesn't matter. It is going to be a good one. We're in Chapel Hill for the #4 North Carolina Tar Heels and the Duke Blue Devils. The lineups and the kickoff when we return. Dorrance Field, Chapel Hill, North Carolina and Duke. Let's go to work and show you the starting lineups. First for the visitors from Duke, led by their head coach, John Kerr.
Jack Doran, the one to keep an eye on, the captain out there, and also the leader offensively. 3 goals for him so far on the season. He's going to have to pace that offense.
And the starting lineup for Carlos Samuano's North Carolina Tar Heels.
We talked about Herrera in that top spot in the open. Really got a nice header in that second goal. Lucas Del Rosario, the one, though, that I want to keep an eye on out on that right flank. Played a really good game against NC State.
There's the North Carolina Tar Heels. Neat uniforms, gray with the blue across, and the Duke Blue Devils in their visiting dark blue. How about these jerseys for the Tar Heels?
Typically, I like sticking with the traditional colors during a rivalry, but I like the alternates. They broke them out for the first time ever for this rivalry game.
Good look there at Herrera and Montez Dioca. There's Carlos Samuano. What a job he's done. Second in the nation for winning percentage. Of course, only the second coach to ever win a national championship in his first season. That was in 2011. And Carlos Samuano, very upbeat this week. We talked about the importance of the fact that if they win, they get the home field, and he really wanted nothing to do with that at all.
If you've ever been around Carlos, it made a lot of sense. It's very much his personality, downplaying the significance of what this game really has in front of us. North Carolina wins, they get that home field, like you said. If not, you're playing on what isn't home field, but maybe his point was there's no fans, so what is home field right now? But I did like how he said, what we're looking at more is, because this season's split in 2, just getting better every single game, because come next semester, you've got a championship to play for.
Meanwhile, John Kerr Jr., though, was not afraid to hype it up at all. He was talking about this, to him, is already a playoff game. And again, they don't get a home game regardless, but they can up their seed, which is important.
The 2 different personalities in the coaching styles and the person themselves. And he's right. Playoffs starting right now, right here today. And for Duke, that's the mentality that they have to have coming into this game, especially coming off of a loss to North Carolina the first time around. You don't want to lose 2 in the same season to your rivals.
There's John Kerr Jr. You saw the former Duke star. He won the first ever national championship at Duke in 1986, the same year where he was the player of the year. They had 6 different players of the year. He won all 6, tied just one of them with Paul Caligiuri, who of course scored that amazing goal in '89 to put the USA in the World Cup for the first time in 40 years. 6 different college player of the year awards. He won all 6 of them.
He must have had a little bit of a down off season that year. He shared one.
Whistle going against North Carolina. Carlos Zambrano, as we mentioned, the 2nd best winning percentage among all active coaches. Took over in 2011, got a national championship to go with the one in 2001 where Grant Porter played on, and now he's the assistant with Carlos Zambrano. Grant Porter was a key player on the 2001 national championship team and was a coach with Carlos Zambrano on that 2011 national championship team. Here come the Tar Heels, again in these snazzy gray uniforms. Lucas Del Rosario finally coming around, as Carlos Zambrano saying, as you get the whistle right there, and it'll be an early free kick. We showed you what happened in the free kicks in Durham.
It was 4 minutes into that first game. We're 3 minutes into it, and North Carolina's going to have a free kick 20, 25 yards out. You talked about Del Rosario. I loved how honest and open Carlos was when we were talking about him, because I brought him up having done the state game, and I thought he looked really well. And he said, yeah, you know, the last game or two he has, but with COVID and how tough that was on players, some guys came out better than they were. Some guys, it hurt a little bit, and it took Lucas a little while to kind of get back into shape, and he's still working his way there.
Earning the start today, Santiago Herrera, who we showed you scored off a free kick to start the season in Durham. And it looks like he's interested in taking this one again. Garvanian is over there. Montes de Oca right into 4 Duke Blue Devils. Stays with the Tar Heels.
Montes de Oca, a really dangerous threat for North Carolina offensively. Talking about Del Rosario working his way back into form. So is Montes de Oca, but for a different reason. Last year he had that knee injury. Prior to that, they were so big on him as an offensive threat going into last year. Once he gets his form back, watch out for him.
Yeah, tore his ACL in preseason a year ago in what can be described as a tough season a year ago. Loaded with talent, but as Carlos Zambrano said, they meshed really well 18 to 18, but just didn't have the finishing touch. This year, he really feels like the cohesive team together, everybody playing for each other, has been positive.
And part of the reason that he's got one national championship, and you saw all the wins that he's had while here at Carolina, is he's got a system, and he needs players that are going to buy into that system. And I don't know that it completely happened last year, but that's the goal that they're trying to do right now. And we'll take a look at the keys. And for Carolina, that is what he said to us so many different times. Become an expert at your job, and that's 1 through 11 out on that pitch. Figure out what your role is, and then be the best at it. And when North Carolina can get all 11 of those guys to do so, he thinks they're going to be right there with anybody else in the country.
You can see already, Duke, North Carolina, it's going to be physical here.
And talking about Duke, the key for them, possess with a purpose. What the meaning of that is, Coach Kerr told us, when they get in that attacking third, don't just attack and go after the goal for the sake of getting a shot off, but have a game plan. And if it's not there, pull it back out, reset the offense, and then go back after it again.
Good look right there at Connor Kelly. And the Tar Heels again working the left side. Jimenez. 2 goals a year ago. Had 7 shots in that NC State game. Herrera. And there's Frick. Frick has matured. As a freshman, he had 3 red cards. I asked John Kerr Jr. about that today, and he finally had to talk to him about it, and he got it under control. And really, since his freshman year, he's been pretty free of red cards, but 3 in his freshman campaign.
I think you hit it right on the head, the word you used, maturity. Came in with a ball of fire, ready to go, all that intensity. But you got to rein it in a little bit, especially when you get in ACC play.
Tar Heels, Jimenez. It'll be a corner kick, North Carolina.
one of the big things Carlos wants to see this team improve on is possessing the ball, especially in the attacking third. So far, I know we're just 6 minutes into the game, but I think North Carolina has possessed the ball when they've had it, and the Duke attacking third pretty well.
Short corner. Sent back across, and I thought it was in. It went off the post. Still bouncing around over the crossbar. Unlucky for North Carolina as they were trying to sneak one by Pulisic. And what a shot and an opportunity right there as Shells, who was injured in the last game, so dangerous.
They weren't even sure if he was going to be able to play just a couple minutes in against State, and North Carolina has the same issues in that State game come up here. In overtime, they hit a post, couldn't find the back of the net, and a great opportunity that they don't come away with a goal on.
Hits the post, almost was able to get the rebound as well. And that short corner working for the Tar Heels, almost resulting in a goal. And right now, the post, the best friend of the 4-year starter, Will Pulisic, of course, the first cousin of Christian Pulisic, and they are best of buddies.
Best of buddies, and you got to have a guy back there who, especially with the experience that he has, can help out a guy like Frick in front of him. You have two seniors that can help organize that defense.
Will Pulisic, we'll show you a little later some pictures with Christian and Will. As you see right there, he played quite a bit as well with the North Carolina FC U23s. 4-year starter. Thought a couple times about maybe going pro and decided to come back. John Kerr Jr. talking about the recruitment of him. He kind of laid off a little bit, and finally he called him up and said, I want to be a Duke Blue Devil.
Funny how you have to figure out each individual kid's mentality. Some kids you have to be on top of, calling them as much as you possibly can to make sure that they know that, hey, you're my guy. I need you to come play for me. Some others, got to back off a little bit. Give them their space. Let them make their decision. Sign of a great recruiter when you can go and get both of those types of kids.
Del Rosario scored that wonder goal against Clemson, which is exactly, as Carlos Salmano said, exactly what he needed to get going. Carlos was pretty open about, particularly you talk about Smur, as we featured him in the Open, somebody that took advantage of COVID, worked every day on his game, and he admitted some other players didn't do as much, and it's taken them a little longer as you look at his impressive record.
Yeah, listen, you're talking with a pandemic that nobody has ever experienced. Nobody really knew what was going on and how to handle it, especially when things were locked down. So you had some guys who were really self-motivated, and Smur being one of them, maybe the biggest on this team, and he said that's the reason that he went from being a good goalkeeper to being an elite one, is because that self-motivation during the pandemic and that quarantine time is, hey, I'm going to go ahead and work on myself. And he said it wasn't just working on himself on the field, it was off the field stuff too. He's become a better leader.
Greensboro, North Carolina. Over the Fusion, throw in for Duke. 10 minutes in, no score. One save, though, for the Duke post. Denying Shells a 1-0 lead for North Carolina. Duke now a little bit more of that possession, which was one of Kyle Straub's keys here for Duke, as it'll roll out of bounds. It'll come back to North Carolina. The ACC Women's Soccer Tournament starts Tuesday. The quarterfinals kick off at 12:30 Eastern with top-seeded Florida State taking on Notre Dame. Then Clemson squares off against Duke, followed by number 2 North Carolina and Virginia Tech. Finally, Virginia and Louisville cap the night right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. Dorrance Field, a handful of folks allowed in for this game. And Carlos Zambrano ended our conversation yesterday with all kinds of appreciation for being able to show up and work here every day. Their office overlooks this field.
One of the best facilities in the country. It was a long time coming, and they just got it done a couple of years ago. And who wouldn't be happy to be able to come here and look at this beautiful field every single day that you come to work? And there's a look at some of the fans. It's, I think, two per player. You have to be a direct relative, and that's the only way that they're allowed to be in the stadium. So no general public in there, just direct relatives of some of the players.
Worth mentioning the incredible work that the ACC has done. You see everybody's got their mask on, they're spread out, and the protocol has been phenomenal. As I mentioned, I did talk to Jay Vidovich, who's done a great job at Pittsburgh, as they're following the protocol. They expect to be ready. Obviously, they had to miss a couple games. It won't be easy, but following the protocol, everything looks to be in line for Pitt to be ready for the ACC tournament. And along those lines, as you saw John Kerr Jr. wearing the Black Lives Matter t-shirt, the work the ACC has done to put an end to social injustice in this country and keep the dialogue going strong.
The ACC always at the forefront of a lot of different things within sports. Love to see them getting behind the players off the field as well.
You can see right there, physical contact right now is on the ground for Duke several times. Peter Stroud, whose brother is now on the New York Red Bulls full team.
Doesn't look like there's anything meant there. He's a little bit upset, but Joe Pickering coming in, clipping his ankle or heel there, gives Duke a great opportunity with this set piece.
Stroud, a freshman.
One of my favorite things, and you get little blurbs on all the different players, and you reached out to a friend just before the game and they said, listen, Stroud is all over the place. He's one of those players you either love or hate as a teammate.
Yeah, he said it reminded him of Enzo Martinez, a former North Carolina Tar Heel who was on that national championship team in 2011, who continues to be a phenomenal pro. He's everywhere. That's exactly who he compared him to.
And it comes down to the intensity. You could see it there when he took that foul. He was very upset about it, very animated. Sometimes that can rub a teammate wrong, or sometimes you can realize, like, hey, listen, this guy is on my team. He's trying to get me in the right spot.
Another whistle. Jimenez, sophomore from Connecticut.
Carlos said there's not a single player on this team that's a superstar. There's a couple of them that he thinks could take that next step, and Jimenez is one of them.
Pickering, nice pickup from East Tennessee State University, played mostly in the back at East Tennessee State. Grad student, had 1 year of eligibility left, and right away Carlos Zambrano, Grant Porter, and the North Carolina coaching staff liked what they saw in him and decided to move him in front of that back line.
Yeah, went from the back to the midfield and said every game he's getting better and better. And I was really surprised when we were on the call, and he actually compared him to Mauricio Pineda, who played that position for a while for the Tar Heels, has since moved on to professional soccer. But that really caught my eye and my ear when he said that he reminds me of Pineda in the way that he's able to possess the ball, knows what to do with it, and can help get that ball upfield. And he's starting to settle into the role.
That's a big-time comparison. Mauricio Pineda, I think, leads all rookies in minutes right now in Major League Soccer. That's the kind of impact that he's made, and he's now comparing this guy to him. That is good company.
I think the next step for Pickering, if you really want to be compared to Pineda, is get involved offensively a little bit more, help finish on some of those goals.
Excellent point. Pineda with 5 goals and 2 assists a year ago from that holding mid position. Those are solid numbers. This is a team that saw Jelani Peters graduate, Jack Scahan graduate, Jeremy Kelly, who's now with the Rapids, Pineda with the Fire, Martin Salas, whose brother is still with the team. And it also saw Sebastian Berhalter, Raul Aguilera, and Blake Malone decide to go pro. So they lost a ton, and here they've come back, number 4 team in the country. And as you already talked about, be an expert at your position, and it's working out for the Tar Heels.
And I think last year, with all those names, all that talent that you just named, the fact that they struggled really drives home that be an expert at what your job is, because they had all that talent. And not to take anything away from any single one of those players, but they didn't mesh completely as a group. They never gelled. And when that doesn't happen, it makes it so much harder for a team to go out there and be a cohesive unit.
Another one of the big players from last year, Alex Rose, who led the team with 7 goals and 2 assists. Still looking for his first goal of the season, getting ready to check in for Carlos Samuano. And Alex Rose scored over 100 goals for NCFC Academy. That's right, over 100. In his 4 years at the academy level, he was top 5 every year in goals scored in those 4 years. 100 goals. That's a lot of goals at a high level.
You can't count it with 2 hands. You better get a whole bunch of them. Yet the praise for Alex Rose from everybody you talk to about what a finisher he is, it doesn't compute to what you see so far this season. But again, and this is speculation on my part, Dean, coming through a pandemic, you never know what a player, each individual one, had to deal with and where they are with their game right now.
And there he is, Alex Rose, getting ready to check in. High praise from John Bradford, who heads up the NCFC Youth Academy and is the top assistant for the North Carolina FC Pro team. Lucas Del Rosario and Alex Rose have both played games for the North Carolina FC Pro team. In fact, they played against English Premier League club teams on amateur contracts. Remember, Jeremy Kelly actually took a gap year and started some games for North Carolina FC, so that connection is indeed strong. In fact, John Kerr's son is a key player with North Carolina FC. John Kerr, the top man for the Duke Blue Devils. So you're seeing that youth soccer pipeline working in the Triangle.
And that's the growth of college soccer. Well, I guess the growth of just soccer in general in this country is seeing the youth grow and pipeline into college, and then some of them continuing on to that professional career. The only way that soccer at the highest level, which is the national level, is going to grow in this country is if you're able to start it at the youth level.
Not quite halfway through this first half. No score, Duke and North Carolina. If you're just joining us, Tim Schells, the sophomore from Germany, the best chance off a short corner. Looked like it was going in, and the post behind Will Pulisic saved the day for the Duke Blue Devils to keep this one at 0. Of course, we'll show you that highlight at halftime and hopefully some goals as well. Duke now on the attack, trying to keep possession. Read perfectly there by Rose, who will lose it. It is interesting, as we talked about the chat with Carlos Samuano. Of course, Dorrance Field, you think about Anson Dorrance and the fact that they play 22, 23 players. Well, guess what? That's now what the North Carolina men's soccer team does.
Yeah, Carlos telling us, I've got 24 players that can make a bid to be in the starting 11. I've also got 24 players that can make a bid to not be in the starting 11. He's still trying to figure out the pieces. He told us, I haven't found that perfect combination yet. And because he's got so much talent up and down the roster, and college athletics sub rules allow him to do so, he takes advantage of it. He's going to find that combination and get all of those kids playing time.
Carlos Samuano, a great story. His family from Cuba. They made their way over to the United States. Carlos Samuano decided he wanted to be in college soccer. He looked and saw that Richmond was going to host the College Cup for a couple years, so he said, I got to move to Richmond. He moves to Richmond, gets a job with VCU, has success there. Elmar Bolovic notices, brings him down to North Carolina. Great assistant for Elmar Bolovic. Elmar Bolovic decides to leave. Carlos gets the job, wins a national championship.
Believe in yourself. Everything is a possibility.
It's so true, right? Like,
it's that simple. He believed in himself. He said, I'm going to Richmond. This is where I need to be. I'm going to make it happen. 15, 20 years later, here we are. He's got a national championship, second winningest active coach.
It's incredible. I mean, Richmond's a nice place, but you don't exactly just move there on a lark, and he did it, and it worked out for him.
First corner was where North Carolina almost got that goal.
Montez Dioka, they almost got it on a short corner. This time they send it right in, headed out of there, but North Carolina trying to keep it alive. They'll play it too long.
Didn't put enough air under that one. I think they were trying to go back post for a header. Good
touch from Rose.
Good touch from Rose. Would have liked to have seen a little bit more from Montes Diaca to keep Rose going down into that corner, though.
Nice squared ball, good dummy as well. North Carolina into the 18, back across, Pulisic across the frame. I think that was Rose lurking to try to get that first goal of the season. Just a second too late.
That was definitely Rose that they were targeting there. Good job of sticking with the attacker there. Nice defense from Daly. Marked him and was stride for stride with him.
Yeah, good call on Daly for sure, Kyle. Well done. As Herrera will leave it. Duke coming out of the back, pushing forward, getting the whistle right there. And once again, Duke saying that has been more than one occasion as Lopez asking for a yellow. There you see
could have been given a yellow, yes. I like that the referee instead just used it as a moment to give a warning, kind of take control of the game, let everybody know where the line's going to be.
How tough is Shells, though? You called that game against NC State. That did not look good at all. He's right back in there. Yeah.
Went down on the sideline, needed help being carried off the field. Saw him at halftime on crutches.
Menes will cross it, was looking for Herrera. Herrera and Constant, 2 goal scorers to start the season in Durham. We showed you both of those. To kick off this Friday night under the lights, prime time, Duke, North Carolina.
Right now in free play, Carolina getting the better of the Blue Devils.
Just past halfway through the first half. Dean Linke with Kyle Stroud. Kyle, let's get your thoughts first on the home team wearing the snazzy jerseys, the North Carolina Tar Heels.
If you're North Carolina and Carlos Zamwana, you got to be happy with the way that the first part of this first half has gone. Almost had a goal off of a set piece. The post is the only reason it's still 0-0. You've had a couple of other opportunities and looks at the goal. Got to like the way they're playing offensively, and defensively they haven't allowed a look yet. I think if you're looking at it from Duke's standpoint, got to possess the ball a little bit better. Too many turnovers in the midfield.
The ACC Field Hockey Championship is Sunday at noon Eastern, with Louisville taking on the defending champion North Carolina Tar Heels right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. Another whistle, and guess who's down again, as you've talked about already, Peter Stroud.
And you can see the frustration looking over to his bench and his coaches pleading. It's been a pretty physical game so far, and you can see the coaches even getting a little frustrated.
There's Carlos Zamwana and Grant Porter. Headed away. It'll be a corner kick for Duke. So now Duke with a chance. Connor Kelly will take the corner for John Kerr Jr.'s Duke Blue Devils. Kelly, lofted ball, pops in the air, goes off the head of Lopez, still loose. Stroud, now back to Kelly. He started this corner kick. Overlapping run with the left foot in, sent out of there by North Carolina. Frick. Back to Kelly. Thought that went off of Kelly, it did. Great defense by the Tar Heels.
One thing that has been a constant for Carlos Zamwana's squads, you're going to get a really good defensive back line and a keeper that's going to keep the ball out of the net. We said at the beginning of the year, there you see it, just 4 goals given up all season long.
Blue Steel.
And how about this? 4 goals given up all season long, 3 of them in one game. It was a 3-3 tie with Clemson.
Good work by Duke to win it back. North Carolina defensively ready for the Daly shot. Saw Daly do it offensively. That looked like a handball right there, and it was, as it popped up on Nicholas Mockery.
On that shot, good job by the back for Carolina there. It was Milo Garvanian. Fun story there, too.
Yeah, how about Mockery, right? His uncle Mauricio, the former president of Argentina. Are you kidding me? His uncle.
We're always looking for those fun little nuggets that we can talk about on air. When we were talking with Duke's SID, she said it so nonchalantly. Both of us looked at each other and said, wait, the president of Argentina? Are you sure? She said, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he was. The former president of Argentina is the uncle to Nicholas Mockery. It's spelled M-A-C-R-I, but pronounced Mockery. And he's been a solid member for John Kerr's team. Both these coaches not afraid to go the international route to find superstars.
Mockery is one of those players they really hope there can be a scoring threat for him, help to provide a little offensive punch.
Down again is Lopez. And Tino goes by Tino Lopez. And now we got some subs coming in for John Kerr Jr.
We talked about the subs for North Carolina to expect. Well, Coach Kerr's got some subs that he can bring in too. You got 2 of the elite programs in the country. They're going to bring in these players that they can come and develop, because they never rebuild. It's always a reload in these type of situations with a Carolina and a Duke.
Good look at Michael Harrington, pretty good at Tar Heel, who's now part of the coaching staff, giving some instructions. As you mentioned, North Carolina also making quite a few changes, as Key White, sophomore from Norfolk, Virginia, coming in, and now coming out is Lopez. Tino Lopez, who was banged up. He's been down the ground several times.
It's been a really physical battle so far. I think he just kind of lost himself in the air, and it looked like maybe the defenders, or I guess the attacker there for Carolina, had a stray hand that may have caught Lopez in the head.
Just great to have soccer, obviously, with all that we've dealt with this pandemic. And I also think because of the situation with the pandemic and the stop and starts, that has also been a key reason why you see so many more subs. We've always seen it in the women's game, but in the men's game now we're seeing it across the board.
It's being absolutely embraced by the men this year because of what you just said. And I think because of the split season, not everything being played like normal all in the fall. You get the split season, and then coaches are looking at it more of a, well, we can keep fresh legs out there all the time, and we're going to be able to have everybody at a higher standard if we do that.
Another player on the ground, this time John Kerr Jr. animated. He wants a card. Both coaches calling for cards right now. There have been a lot of fouls, but no paint has been issued so far. John Kerr Jr., national champion in 1986. Telling that story, coached, of course, by John Rennie, a Hall of Famer. They had to beat North Carolina in the last game of the season to even make the 86 tournament. Then they got in, they beat South Carolina. They had a great game against Harvard in the semis where he scored 2, which ironically he ended up coaching at Harvard, and then they knocked off Akron in the national championship game 1-0. Tom Stone, the coach at Texas Tech, with the winner. Stone scored 16 goals that year. Kerr had 15 as he was player of the year. You're seeing Salas up now.
Gotta love teams like that when he won that title, where just give me a chance, just get in and just give us a chance, and then able to take that run all the way to a title.
He compared it to Jimmy V's NC State basketball team, where, remember, they had to win the ACC tournament to get in, and they made that phenomenal run. Of course, Carlos Zambrano also knows what it takes to win a national championship, as he won it as a coach in his first season in 2011. Free kick opportunity for North Carolina. That was the difference when these two teams met to start the season.
A lot going on in the box right now.
The referee, I have his hands full today for sure. It's North Carolina Duke. We told you what's on the line as well.
Looked like it was a battle for position. Constant for Carolina down in front of the goalkeeper.
Mark Gorak, the man in the middle in the yellow shirt. Good look at him. It's definitely been physical, to say the least.
It was Constant for the Tar Heels, Murphy for Duke. Constant scored the first goal against Duke. It was off of a set piece. Ball was served in and found his head.
Lofted ball in, bouncing around. Pulisic stays right in front of the goal, and Duke is able to clear it.
Good job defensively there by the Blue Devils. Ball was loose in the box, quickly got it out, didn't give North Carolina the opportunity. Had a quick second chance.
Rose plays it into space. Little step over coming from Clark. We'll roll out of bounds. It'll be a throw in here for the Tar Heels.
I like how North Carolina so quickly got the ball back into the attack. Didn't really let Duke breathe after the clear.
Garvanyan, the junior from Albuquerque, New Mexico, with the throw-in. And there is Pulisic. John Kerr Jr. is going to miss him. 4-year starter in goal for the Duke Blue Devils.
As a coach, when you have a player like that that can organize everybody from behind and that you have full trust in, it's almost like it takes an aspect of your coaching away. You don't have to worry about that part of the game. All of a sudden, 4 years is up, that player is gone, and you're looking at your roster going, okay, we need to find another one.
Neither Pulisic or Smur have let one in here. Zeros at Dorrance Field, and in there was Stroud.
Clark involved for North Carolina. You see a little bit of a push in the small of the back there from Clark.
Stroud makes a meal out of most contact, and that's exactly how he was described before the game by our good friend John Bradford right there. He's everywhere.
It's the mentality of some players. They know it can get underneath the skin of the opposing player, and it kind of eggs them on even more.
How about the job that George Kiefer and NC State's team did coming in here in their last game? It's been a tough season for them as they've also had to deal with the pandemic and working with international players to get back and injuries and trying to find some rhythm. Impressive result for NC State to get a tie.
It was. In their last couple of games, they've had some better looks than what they did in the beginning of the year. Still not getting the results that they want. They still haven't gotten that W, but 1-0 loss against Clemson prior to that tie against North Carolina. And when we were talking to him, he made a really good point. So with the way that the ACC is cut up this year, we're playing top 5 teams almost every single game. So, yeah, we haven't gotten a win, but not really looking at the result as much as how much we've improved game to game.
It reminds me to tell you to stay with us at halftime as we'll preview the ACC men's soccer tournament. We'll take a deep look at Pittsburgh, Wake Forest, and Clemson, 3 of the top teams in the ACC. So stay with us at halftime as it's North Carolina and Duke still at zeros. Again, if North Carolina can get 3 points and get a win, that will mean that a week from Sunday, they will host a quarterfinal game. Duke, if they can get the win, they will improve their seed, but they will not be able to host a quarterfinal game. Of course, it'll all lead up to the final being played at Wake Med Soccer Park. John Kerr Jr. hoping his team can go on a little run and get there. As you see right there, if the teams draw, that is the situation as well. UNC, a draw will not do it for them, at least as it relates to hosting at least one game in the ACC tournament.
They're already in the ACC tournament. It's just whether they get to play a game here on Dorrance Field or they have to play at, maybe it's at Duke Stadium, maybe it's at State. They'll be in this same area, and I think that's also part of the reason when we talked with Carlos Samuano, he wasn't really concerned at all about what seed North Carolina would be. They're not going to have to travel. They're going to get to stay home to play a game, whether they win this or not. Obviously, you want the 3 points, though, if you're the Tar Heels.
Corner kick for the Duke Blue Devils. Wada hoping to get in. Next opportunity. You see right there, Duke just about 6 corner kicks per game, 3rd in the conference.
In free play, they haven't had much of an offensive opportunity. Got to make the most of these set pieces.
Periano, the subs for John Kerr Jr. Driven in, and a good one. Smur, punch with 2 hands, headed out. Duke has an opportunity to get it back into the 18. That's exactly what they're going to do here. Little flick. It's loose, still loose, and picked up by Smur.
Nice little sequence there, though, by Duke. Possessed with a purpose. Didn't just play that ball into space, but played it into a couple of targets.
Nice lead by Duke. Calling for it is McGarvey. McGarvey, one of those players that you may not say his name a ton, but if you like the game, if you appreciate the game, you appreciate the way he plays. He's right there. His passing is always spot on, but he's a great communicator. He's running the show there as the true number 6.
Doing all the things that you need to do to help your team win, even though they may not show up in the scorebox.
So we got subs coming in. Scotty Taylor coming in the game for Doran, who started at center forward. And you see Wada now on for Jimenez. There's Taylor.
Wada gives Carolina a little bit of speed up top, can help to push that offensive unit. Taylor coming back in. You talk with Coach Kerr, and he really thinks that Taylor has the potential to be their top scorer.
Daniel Wright wearing the 7 jersey. He started quite a few games. Key sub this year for John Kerr Jr. Still loose. Dancing with it, trying to do as much as they can inside the 18. Duke Blue Devils have looked dangerous here in the last 5 minutes.
They did a good job in that little spurt where they just kept possession. And because they were able to keep possession, it kept pressure on North Carolina.
And it was Taylor, who you just talked about. He tried to play it to himself. He was looking to volley it there. Scored the game-winning goal last season in Chapel Hill, did number 9. Rose.
This is one of the things that I mentioned already, and Carlos really wants to see an improvement. Possession from North Carolina. In the past, that right there would have been a ball that got upfield, and North Carolina would be in transition and the attacking third. Instead, the passes are a little bit off the mark, and you turn it over back to the Blue Devils.
Tomorrow we'll have a college football doubleheader right here on ACC Network and the ESPN app. Virginia Tech hosts number 25 Liberty in Blacksburg at noon Eastern. Then at 4 p.m. Pittsburgh looks to snap their losing streak when they face Florida State down in Tallahassee. Right. Taylor was almost there to pick it up. Pressure right now from the Duke Blue Devils. Bounce off of McGarvey. Taylor's been dangerous since coming on for John Kerr Jr. it's a young team. 41% of the team's minutes played have been by freshmen this year for John Kerr Jr., as you see right there, the Young Devils.
It's a number you're not typically used to with programs like North Carolina or like Duke, but we alluded to it a little bit earlier with the split season and coming off of a pandemic where teams weren't allowed to be together in the off season. You're seeing this across the country where a lot of young players are getting a lot of playing time, and everybody who's doing it thinks that it's just going to help them out come next semester.
Still no score. Reminding you that early doors, Tim Shells off of a corner, hit one off the post and almost had the rebound, as Will Pulisic definitely tapping the post as his best friend, that 12th man for the Duke Blue Devils. Another player down. How many times have we said that in the first half?
More times than you'd like to.
Sniper right there. I didn't really see anything. He may have rolled his ankle. Darson. Let's take another look at it.
Looks like he's holding that right ankle. He's going to come flying into the screen here. I think maybe just a piece of the cleat of the Carolina attacker gets him, but not down there. And I can tell you this, it doesn't take much to get a cleat to touch your ankle, and that pain will shoot up and down your leg real quick.
Yeah, he definitely is in pain, and that was a great look by our outstanding crew. Evan Badler producing, as you saw the look right there. He did get clipped, and then off of that, rolling down, Gadarsson from Iceland. Great on free kicks as well. Rose.
First touch got away from him.
Just needs that first one. Coming off 7 goals a year ago. Just a goal-scoring machine. Just tough year for Mr. Rose as they throw it into him. North Carolina trying to pin Duke in. Duke able to get out of it. Ooh, hard tackle.
Good clean tackle though. Came in hard, but it was clean. He got to the ball.
It's Clark.
Eyes were up for Lopez looking upfield. Clark came in with a head of steam, timed it perfectly.
Keem Clark, freshman, Windsor, Connecticut. Plenty of time left here in the first half. 5 minutes, 40 seconds. Duke going to bring players forward here. You see the shots. North Carolina with 4. Including that one from Shells. Neither team has been able to put one on goal. They have been able to put one on the post. Daly started this, now right. Still loose. Taylor going near post. Going to be tough to beat a goalkeeper as good as Smur near post. And Smur was ready, but it'll be a corner kick. Corner kick Duke.
Some good passing here from Duke in order to break that back line of the Tar Heels. A couple of missed touches from North Carolina as well.
Periano. Take the corner again. Good left-footed corner, trying to find Taylor. Clark with the clearance. It'll stay with Duke. Periano makes himself available for the throw-in from Daly. Both teams going deep to their bench here in the first half. Stroud sends it in, looking for Taylor. Taylor, nice job keeping possession. Daly, Taylor again, but he's offside after he squared up. He did not get back in an onside position.
Got to be aware on the field.
'97 and '99 was the last time that Duke beat North Carolina during the regular season, consecutive times in Chapel Hill. That's a long time ago. Look at the series matchup. North Carolina has an advantage, but not by much, although of late North Carolina has been pretty successful against Duke. But you talk about a great rivalry, just like the basketball programs, it's pretty much neck and neck.
You said it in the open. North Carolina, Duke, throw the records out. You're going to get a great matchup every time they get on the pitch.
So Jack Bouverie, the junior from Washington, D.C., Benjamin Franklin International, going to come on as Key White had a run.
Samuano continuing to make those changes, still trying to find the right pieces, the right fit.
Taylor goes down. Saw the assistant referee say it's going to stay with Duke. 2 minutes remaining, still zeros. North Carolina and Duke. 15 fouls already. Godarson, so good at free kicks. And he'll take it. Godarson, great ball in. Headed away by North Carolina. Will be a corner kick for Duke.
Coach Kerr said anything within 35 yards. He's got pinpoint accuracy. Had a player right there in the middle of the box, just over his head, though.
Yeah, he was looking for Tino Lopez for sure. Now Godarson is going to go over to the corner with Periano. And Godarson, you're right, he put that one on a dime. Godarson, right hand in the air, getting ready to use his right foot. Can he find Taylor? Can he find any Duke Blue Devil? Cleared out first by North Carolina. Tar Heels hoping for a counter. They'll come all the way back to Pulisic. 5 seconds remaining in this one. Just some Pickering over it. He'll turn it over. Duke. Wright, who's got the freedom to roam, has his pocket picked, and North Carolina 30 seconds to try to score here in the first half. Rose dropping all the way back. Gives it up. Throw in North Carolina. Beautiful little give and go. Nifty touch. Final seconds counting down. I don't think it'll be enough time for North Carolina to get a corner kick in. Physical matchup. Shells almost scored. The post was the best friend of Will Pulisic, and after 45, it's Duke 0, North Carolina 0.
North Carolina's first unit got the better of play. As you said, Shells almost had a goal for the Tar Heels. Post keeps it out, and North Carolina a couple other opportunities. But once that second unit and the subs started coming in, I thought Duke started getting better of the play. We'll see what kind of changes they make during halftime.
Physical matchup. Again, a lot on the line. A North Carolina win means they host a quarterfinal game in the ACC tournament. Best opportunity coming from Tim Shells. He almost had it, even the rebound right there, but the post, the best friend for Will Pulisic. Through 45, Duke 0. The number 4 team in the country, North Carolina 0. Stay with us on ACCN. family affair. You talk about soccer royalty. John Kerr Jr., his dad, the late, great John Sr., played with Pele, the New York Cosmos, played in Mexico, started the NASL Players Union. His wife was a star, first team All-ACC for Virginia. His son plays for Duke, has seen time this year. His daughter, the twin Alex of Cameron, plays for Vanderbilt, is a starter as well. And his other son, Drew, is with the Accelerator School at the Weight Competition Center and stars for NCFC Academy. He definitely will play either college or take a direct pipeline to the pros. What a family, led by his dad, who is a legend. That was a big loss a few years ago when he passed away. He started the NASL Players Union in combination then with the NFL getting it going. Phenomenal family, John Kerr Jr.
Maybe some good bloodlines?
Indeed.
I'll tell you what, growing up, that family calendar with the practices and the games had to have been hectic.
Well, that's part of the reason. You know, John Kerr Jr. used to also coach youth soccer with the different youth clubs around the area, but he tries to get down to Vanderbilt when he can to see his daughter. So his focus is the Duke Blue Devils and his family, as you see him right there. And, of course, the family ties with Duke run even deeper. Will Pulisic, of course, the goalkeeper, 4-year starter for the Duke Blue Devils, first cousin to Christian Pulisic, arguably the face now of U.S. soccer. They're first cousins and they're best of friends.
And imagine growing up with that as your cousin, whichever way you want to look at it, whether you're Will or not. That's got to be a lot of fun in the competition, playing off of each other, pushing each other to be better, and now being able to become close to adults and enjoy it together.
Fantastic work by our crew. I want to thank Meredith Reeder as well, the Duke SID, for getting us those outstanding photographs and also breaking down the John Kerr Jr. family tree. Pretty impressive as well. Will Pulisic, so many great pictures. He was always the bigger one of the two, but he's got to be so proud of Christian getting it done. He's injured right now, but man, what a fantastic future he's got.
I'm sure they're in contact on a regular basis and looking forward to the day where they can both be in the same league.
All right, here we go. Let's see if we can find a goal in the second half. Reminding you, a North Carolina win. Is that shot not on frame? A North Carolina win means they get the #2 seed and they host a quarterfinal game here at Dorrance Field a week from Sunday. And Duke would be the 4th seed in the South region. You see right there, if North Carolina can somehow get a win. Of course, Alex Smurr going to do his best to keep Duke from scoring. One of the best goalkeepers, not just in the ACC, but in the country. He and Will Pulisic, 2 outstanding netminders.
Good takeaway there from North Carolina. One thing we haven't seen much of, Dean, the high pressure that Carolina likes to use with their attackers to make it tough to clear the ball out. So far, that hasn't been a factor as far as Duke not being able to get clears and turning it over. That plays into one of the keys that we talked about earlier, possessing with a purpose.
That's a great pass here to Taylor, who came on for John Kerr Jr. in the first half and was effective. Lucas Del Rosario started the game back in here to start the second half as both teams went super deep to their bench. Lucas Del Rosario, as we mentioned, played for NCFC Youth Academy. John Bradford saying that the NCFC Pro team will keep an eye on Lucas after this season for the senior. Of course, a lot of eligibility issues as they'll pick it back up around February, leading toward a reduced NCAA championship with the other conferences. It'll really give us a good idea of what that 21st century model is going to feel like. And Carlos Samuano, right there with Sasho Soroski at Maryland, has really been key in pushing that 21st century model. The idea of playing games in the fall and then playing games in the spring and then having a championship to truly celebrate all that is great about college soccer. So you take the good and the bad. COVID, this is terrible, but it does give them a chance to sample it. That man right there, he's in those meetings. He's front and center making a difference.
Spearheading it out there, trying to make it happen and doing what he can. And I love that when we talked to him about it, he said, you know, it's been put on pause. It was something that it was going to be up for vote. And then the pandemic came around and they put it on pause, and he said it's the right thing to do. But like you just said, out of the darkness, you get a little bit of light. Here's the model that they've been putting forward for the last few years. Let's see how well it works. And I personally, Dean, and all the coaches I've talked to, haven't heard a single person who hasn't enjoyed it and thought that they've gotten better soccer because of it.
Carlos told us yesterday it's been incredible the way they've been able to space out the games, and it's exactly set up for what they want to do. And Carlos Samuano deserves a whole lot of credit for all of his work.
You're talking about typical soccer season. It's in one semester. You're playing 2 games a week. That doesn't give you much time for practice, rest, recovery, and development. Now you're playing 1 game a week, and you're able to do all of those things.
North Carolina trying to keep possession. Pickering will drop it back. Rob Kehoe, the director of college programs for United Soccer Coaches, has been working with Carlos and Sasho Sorosky, Todd Yeagley, Brian Weiss, Jeremy Gunn, as that one goes over the crossbar, deflected, and it'll be a corner kick North Carolina, and once again Shells is involved.
Nice job of keeping possession here with some traffic around and laying the ball off just outside of the 18. Almost got a good bounce there, Shells, where it deflects in. Instead, they'll get a corner kick, and North Carolina looked pretty good on their set pieces in the first half, Dean.
Indeed. Montez Diaka, good ball. Snapped out of there by the captain, Frick.
That was a really good read by Frick, because Carolina had Constant waiting there on the back post.
Constant got North Carolina off to a great start, scoring in the 4th minute in the opening game over in Durham. Off a free kick. Great start for the North Carolina. 4 minutes in, you lead 1-0.
When on the road, and especially considering that was the first game of the year for North Carolina, the Blue Devils had already played a couple. That's the way you want to start things off. Get that confidence for your team right away. They almost had it again today.
Trying to find Taylor. Del Rosario. Del Rosario went to grade school at St. Thomas More, same place that Jeremy Kelly went to. Of course, you got to believe they dreamed of playing for the Tar Heels right here in Chapel Hill, and that's exactly what they've done. I told you earlier, both of them have made appearances with the pro team down the road, North Carolina FC.
Del Rosario with 1 goal on the season. Came in that Clemson game, and that was the first one that Carlos said, I saw a flicker of life of the old Lucas, the one that they expect. But talking about COVID and the pandemic, so it's just so tough to really practice on your own and stay in shape, and that was something that Lucas had dealt with for the first few games of this season.
This is a dangerous opportunity here for the Duke Blue Devils, earning the whistle right here. Taylor has been great. You called it. Scotty Taylor, as John Kerr Jr. High praise for Taylor, and he is showing it's worth it. Periano, Daniel Wright. Periano, I think, is going to take this. Sent in, but right to the wall. Del Rosario was there first. And now we've got a whistle.
Looked like Taylor got a little bit too physical in the box. Del Rosario guarding that far post, was perfectly positioned.
Taylor, 10-yard penalty for holding right there in the... Smurr. Wright came on as a sub and then stayed out there to start the second half along with Taylor for John Kerr Jr.
Looks like North Carolina and Carlos Samuano have gone back to pretty much what their starting 11 was, while Kerr and Duke have made some changes, and took some players that played well in that first half at the end and said, all right, we're going to keep you out on the field and see if we can get a good combo here.
Another whistle. Right. Let's look for that foul. It'll go back to North Carolina.
Somebody they think that they can get as an offensive threat. Need to get his back to the goal. I mean, that's where he's most dangerous.
Herrera. Montez Diaca. Salas coming forward. Bypass Salas, get it back to Montez Diaca, now back over to Shells.
Even that pass to Shells a little bit off the mark, and Carolina was looking to switch the field. Instead, they just had to send it back to the back line.
What a great ball here to Lucas Del Rosario. Cuts it back, showing that flash. Creative player, back across, what a ball! Lucas Del Rosario with brilliance, puts it on a dime. Montez Diaca, 1-0 North Carolina.
A little bit of a slow start for Lucas Del Rosario this year coming out of the pandemic. 2 games ago, they saw the first spark from him, and this is the Lucas Del Rosario that they wanted to see all year long. Great work with the ball at his feet. Loses the defender, gets just enough space, and a perfect cross. Love that Carolina had numbers in the box. Look at the gray jerseys. If it's not going to be Montez Diaca, Herrera waiting there on the back post for it.
First goal of the season for Montez Diaca. Lucas Del Rosario adds an assist to go with that goal that he scored against Clemson. And I believe he owes a steak dinner to number 7, because that flash, that spice right there, that is what we were hoping to see out of Lucas Del Rosario, and he delivered it right there for Carlos Zambrano.
100%, you hit it right on the head. And I would even say that that goal for a guy like Montez Diaca, who we talked about in the first half, coming off of a torn knee last year, 2 years ago was the leading goal scorer for the Tar Heels. You get that first one in and you start to get your confidence going.
Really, both of those players, remember, they shut down Lucas Del Rosario last year as well. Only played 6 games, so gave him another year of eligibility. And of course, Montez Diaca, with that torn ACL, didn't play at all. So both of those players now, in even this pandemic, an opportunity to show what they can do. They delivered it right there, and it's 1-0 North Carolina on top of the Duke Blue Devils. And again, if this scoreline holds, it'll mean a home game in the quarterfinals of the 8-team ACC men's soccer tournament.
Still a lot of time for Duke, who in the second part of that first half, as well as the opening minutes here of the second half, got themselves some opportunity, got some good looks on set pieces. In North Carolina, though, once you get that tally on the board and you've got the lead, you got to feel really good about things with Smur back in goal.
Look there at McGarvey. North Carolina breaking through here in the second half for a 1-0 lead over their rivals from Duke.
Lucas Del Rosario put on the brakes once, put on the brakes twice, got the separation, and found his teammate's head. Montez Diaca right there in the mouth of the goal.
See Clark, who was very active in that first half, coming in for Santiago Herrera. We mentioned Lucas Del Rosario went to St. Thomas More. Carlos Zambrano's kids also went to St. Thomas More. My kids went to St. Thomas More, and I remember seeing Lucas Del Rosario as a 5th grader, 6th grader, and he was making 8th graders look foolish out there with that kind of sizzle, and he continues to do it. It's 1-0 North Carolina on top of Duke.
Stroud trying to play that ball off wide. I actually would have rather have seen him take the shot there, Dean. Looked like Duke had some numbers forward and he had the space for it.
So if Duke can bounce back, certainly Peter Stroud will be ready. That man never stops. Corner kick at the moment. Stroud at the top of the 18. They'll go right into the 6, headed out of there by North Carolina. Right, pucks it out of the air.
Del Rosario down there helping out defensively, shielding that one out of bounds.
It's next level play right there.
I think on the corner, Duke was looking to go back post. Didn't get enough of the ball and left it easy for Garvanian to, or excuse me, that was Milo Garvanian, yeah, to knock it out.
John Kerr Jr., assisted by Michael Brady, his longtime friend. Ironically, Michael Brady was the 1985 College Player of the Year, and we mentioned John Kerr won all of the Player of the Years the year after. Michael Brady played at American University, actually made it to that 85 national championship game, the longest game ever played in the history of college soccer. The second longest was played by Duke against Indiana in '82. John Rennie, who I'm sure is watching down in his new home in Wilmington, the Hall of Famer. They went 8 overtimes, as you see right there. Michael Brady, as good as John Kerr Jr. was, that man right there, Michael Brady, was legit at American College Player of the Year. So in practice, when they go to hit the crossbars, John Kerr Jr. and Mr. Brady, they still have it.
That's like in basketball. Last thing you lose is the shot. I'll tell you what, you were just telling that story. 8 overtimes? He had wheeled off the field after that one. How do you stay upright for that long?
Well, it's part of the reason they changed the rules. There was 166 minutes in that game as they lost to UCLA in the national championship game. And that was just 3 years after that 8 overtime game between Duke and Indiana, when the Godfather Jerry Yeagley got his first national championship at Indiana. They don't do that anymore, as you know. They do the 2:15s and go to PKs.
I gotta say, as much as I may not be a fan of PKs, I'll take that over the endless OTs.
The ACC Women's Soccer Tournament starts Tuesday. The quarterfinals kick off at 12:30 Eastern with top-seeded Florida State taking on Notre Dame. Then Clemson squares off against Duke, followed by number 2 North Carolina and Virginia Tech. Finally, Virginia and Louisville cap the night right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. There's the goal scorer. And there's the assist man, Del Rosario, taking that pass from Montez Dioka.
Good pressure here from Duke. You don't see them laying off at all.
North Carolina, though, running downhill, looking for that second. Drops it off. Del Rosario first times it. Pretty good idea. And a whistle called as Clark came flying in there a little reckless, but Del Rosario, he is dialed in, folks.
He's feeling good, and you can tell it just by the way he looks out there on the field. One touch is this one. Clark trying to get the call there. Claimed he had his legs taken out from him, but it looked like to me he was putting the pressure and pushing on the defender, though. So good no call from the ref.
So Bubba Cunningham, the athletic director, standing behind the goal. Doesn't miss too many games for any of the sports. You see him pretty much everywhere.
Sign of a good AD. They support all of their athletic. Real easy to go to the big ones.
Montez Dioka's Will Pulisic clearance was not good. Drops it over. Clark is there. His touch lets him down. Montez Dioka was ready to pounce initially. He gets it back again. No whistle. They'll say play on, and Pulisic comes up big, still loose. North Carolina trying to get that second. Will Pulisic, poor clearance, and Montez Dioka almost made him pay.
It almost looked like Duke gave up on this play after this initial shot attempt. You'll see some defenders just kind of stand around. North Carolina gets back to possession. Thankfully, Pulisic had come out of goal for Duke there to thwart the first attempt. Clark a couple of times trying to settle that ball. Couldn't quite get it where he wanted, though.
So Herrera is going to come back in for Clark.
I think you're going to see more minutes than the starters have typically played for North Carolina in this game. And it's because of the way that that first half went, Dean. There was a noticeable difference when the subs came in from when the starters were in for North Carolina. The Duke offense all of a sudden got some life. They got a spark going. And I think Carlos saw that and is opting to play those starters a little bit longer than normal today to hopefully keep possession, keep momentum, and keep that score in their favor.
You see those shots on goal, just 3 total. Montez de Oca from Lucas Del Rosario. The difference right now, 1 for North Carolina, 0 for Duke, with under 26 minutes remaining in this game. Jimenez. Grabbing his right ankle.
No shots on goal for Duke, even though they've played some pretty good offensive soccer. Credit the North Carolina back line. It was something that I actually specifically asked Carlos Zambrano about. Said, this defensive unit, what is it that makes them so good? And the first thing he said was, I think last year really helped. They took some lumps last year, and it really made them kind of dedicate themselves, and they've grown together as a group, and that's what you need as a defensive unit, is to become a unit. Kind of goes to what the keys were, what we talked about. Everybody become an expert at your job. The defense is the first group that has done so for North Carolina.
John Kerr Jr. showing off his touch. He's still got it, folks. He and Michael Brady and Bruce Murray actually won the McGuire Cup. It's the oldest and most prestigious youth soccer tournament. They won it way back in the day. Those 3 players, Bruce Murray, a U.S. Soccer Hall of Famer. It's a big moment. 25 minutes remaining in this one. Still 1-0. Go out of bounds.
It's a good ball played in. Got deep into the box and forced North Carolina's hand. The only play they had was to send it out and give Duke the corner.
Hustling over to go ahead.
Was just on screen, but keep an eye on McGarvey, number 4. Best target in the air for the Blue Devils.
Periano to take the corner. Periano put it out by North Carolina. It'll fall to Murphy. Good hustle from Jimenez. Where the counter was on. Daly, who's been really good defensively, was ready though. Amir Daly starting the Duke attack, and a whistle there against North Carolina. Free kick coming for the Duke Blue Devils. Will we have our first card of the game? We will. So the card issued to number 22, Garbanyan.
It goes back to that pass. North Carolina trying to spring the counter attack. It's turned over. It gives Duke the opportunity. Nothing that was egregious there from Garbanyan, but the first half was such a physical matchup. You knew only a matter of time before a card was going to come out to set the tone and kind of keep everybody in line.
Yeah, I think that was the right call. Yellow card issued. Free kick opportunity for Duke. Let's see if they can tie it. Looking for Taylor. The scramble. Duke screaming for a handball. Counter is on. Salas. Played last year with his brother Martin, who has graduated. Lissick has it.
Dean, Coach Kerr told us that he wanted to see his team be better on set pieces, both offensively and defensively. I think Duke has done so tonight on the defensive side, having given up a goal off a set piece, which was not the case in the first meeting. But offensively, they've gotten a lot of opportunities on set pieces, both corners as well as free kicks, and haven't really produced anything of value.
Way outside the 18 is Pulisic. Pop it high in the air, Wright trying to bring it down. Gets it away from Garvanian. Wright stays with it. Good fight for Wright. Came off the bench for John Kerr Jr. and has done a good job. Quickly though, Smurr, great job throwing it out to Salas. Salas making a run from that right back spot. Thought he was clipped right there. No whistle though. As coming in defensively was Peter Stroud. Again, that player that is everywhere. Coming the other way, here comes Duke.
You feel the intensity picking up here a little bit, Dean.
Yeah, Doran had it for a moment. Periano, one too many dribbles. Doran wanted it back, and he has reason to be upset. He was open on the left side. Herrera started the second half, went out, came right back in, and Herrera will earn a dangerous free kick for the Tar Heels, leading 1-0 over Duke.
It was good work there by Lopez on the initial challenge. Stopped Herrera at the top of the 18, but then a little too aggressive on the second. Watch him here. Good stop there, able to take away that possession, but then a little late getting to the ball and throws that leg and hip in. Herrera, a good veteran player for the Tar Heels, started his career out at UCLA at first.
The transfer portal has changed the game for sure. Both teams have been able to take advantage of that over the last couple years. North Carolina looking to add to their 1-0 lead. That goal scored here in the second half. Sent in right in front. Pulisic stayed on his line. So close for North Carolina to make it 2-0. Pretty good opportunity right there for Pickering.
Just looked like he lost his feet. Maybe got tangled up with the defender. See if we can sort it out here on the replay. This ball came right through his feet, and good job there defensively. Lopez shielded with the body. Yeah, that's just a really good job defensively there, because otherwise that's an easy goal for Pickering to just flick in.
Carlos Samuano. You mentioned John Kerr's son playing for the NCFC Academy program. Sasha is a really good young player coming up through the NCFC youth system, and Carlos Samuano is a really good coach in that system as well. Next time around, we'll have to do his family tree with all his kids playing collegiately or professionally, as you see Shells, who had that great opportunity in the first half. Pretty good opportunity to start the second half before Lucas Del Rosario found Montes de Oca for the only goal of the game.
Coaching staff for the Tar Heels excited about Shells. Real tough kid. We talked about how I thought he broke his ankle last game. Didn't know if he'd be available for the rest of the year, let alone start, which he did today.
Yeah, so tough is the word that both Carlos Samuano and Grant Porter used to describe Shells, as you're seeing a good effort here from Herrera. It was a short break for him, right? And then they pulled Clark, and Herrera's come back out ready to go.
And that was when it kind of triggered in my head that Carlos is going more with the starters because they've gotten the better of the play.
Great pass as the flags stay down. It looked like it was offside. That'll give us a good opportunity to tell you that the ACC Field Hockey Championship is Sunday at noon Eastern, with Louisville taking on North Carolina right here on ACCN and the ESPN app.
Been some great games in that tournament so far. Last night actually, Syracuse needed overtime to beat Duke. Almost had a setup of a UNC Duke matchup in field hockey today, but Q spoiling that one and forcing overtime against North Carolina today with a last-minute goal, but the Tar Heels triumphant in overtime.
Of course, Louisville beat North Carolina, ending that amazing win streak. North Carolina had spent the last 2 years going undefeated, winning national championships. Louisville beat them. What a game that's going to be right here on ACCN. Louisville and North Carolina. This one pretty good Duke and North Carolina men's soccer with the number 4 team in the country, the Tar Heels, getting a second half goal to lead Duke by a score of 1-0.
Dean, how about the North Carolina win today? Gave Karen Shelton the most wins ever in Division I field hockey. So big congratulations to her. 701 wins in her career.
That's how you get a stadium named after you, my man.
Yes, it is. Anson Dorrance knows well about that one, as we are here in Anson Dorrance Stadium.
22 national championships for Anson Dorrance, who has written that great book, Vision of a Champion, has that podcast series out now. That's amazing. North Carolina switching it. Lucas Del Rosario. You can tell he's feeling it, folks. Gets it on his left foot, mishit it. So not feeling it so much there, but he definitely is adding a little sugar to this game tonight.
Nice quick switch there from Carolina to get Del Rosario in a 1v1 situation with the defender here. Knew exactly what he wanted to do with it. Just couldn't quite get around that ball to try and hook it in. I like the aggressiveness, though, and I like the decision immediately. He got the ball, knew what he wanted to do with it, and attacked.
Look for Taylor again. Defended well in that back line. Zaterin, transfer from St. Mary's University in California, a great program. He's from Italy, actually from the city where Alexi Lalas played professionally for a year. Padua. North Carolina bench, Carlos Zambrano in his first season wins a national championship. Grant Porter won one as a player and as an assistant coach. Then you've got Will Clayton, who won a championship in 2007 with Wake Forest. Michael Harrington did his best to try to win one. Also over there on the bench, Ben Spees, who scored the winning goal in the national championship for North Carolina in that 2011. Ben Spees, by the way, won 2 collegiate national championships, one for Akron, one for North Carolina. That's a pretty impressive coaching staff.
It is, and it can show you really quickly why North Carolina is ranked 4th in the country. If you're a high school kid and you have all those championships coming into your living room saying, come play for us, probably going to make it a pretty easy decision.
Duke looking like they might have the equalizer. They're going to continue to fight here. A John Kerr coach team always does. Right, did he get a deflection there? He's calling for it. Looks like he did. It'll be a corner kick Duke.
Good work from Wright and the Blue Devils. They're stuck with it and got themselves an opportunity. See if they draw something else up here for a corner kick. So far what they've used hasn't given them a really good look. North Carolina's been able to clear it pretty quickly.
You're right, though. With Taylor and McGarvey, they definitely have some great prospects. Taylor right there talking it over with the referee. This is not the first time the referee has had to settle things down on corner kicks. Periano. Left-footed ball. Headed out of there by Zaterin. O'Connell sends it back here now to Murphy. Murphy gets it in. Looking for Taylor. Shells gets knocked to the ground. Cleared out of there by Salas.
Could have easily been a foul there against O'Connell. He gave a shoulder shiver there to Shells and sent him down to the ground.
O'Connell, a senior. Salas gets his head on it first. Murphy. North Carolina has looked good on the counter at times here tonight, led by Montez Dioka, the goal scorer, and this man here, Lucas Del Rosario.
Great ball.
That's the first time it looks like where Del Rosario is maybe out of gas at the moment. He just ran out of steam trying to run that one down.
And that was a long run because he comes back and helps out defensively as well. So he had the full length of the field to go get involved on that counterattack. And yeah, I think you hit it right. He just didn't have that little bit of nitro at the end to get to it first.
Del Rosario stays with it. Gets it back, little touch. Good pass back in, saved by Pulisic. Huge save to keep this one at 1-0.
Great work there from the Tar Heels, though. Del Rosario could have let a shot go right here, made the better choice, had the defender leaning. Good save from Pulisic.
Fantastic save by number 1, keeping his team in it. Tough ball to trap there by Del Rosario. He'll lose it back to Duke. He was looking for a foul, but good defense by the Blue Devils.
It looked like Carolina was going to go a little give and go there, but Herrera's pass, as you said, to Del Rosario off the mark.
Again, because of this pandemic, only a few fans allowed. That will continue.
Good switch.
Great switch. Dropped. Give and go. Duke ready for it. Dale Soccer Stadium will host a quarterfinal game. Duke will host one, Dorrance Field will host one, and Spry will host one. And you think about all 4 of those venues and their fan base, really makes it tough knowing what we're dealing with this pandemic, because all 4 of those venues, when the fans get locked in, it's pretty incredible. Even NC State, the Red Terrors, they create an incredible atmosphere right behind the goals. And of course, we won't be able to do that this time around. Safety first here as we try to get through this together. With that, definitely want to salute all of the medical workers on the front line, and particularly all those families that have had to deal with this pandemic. North Carolina looking sharp here in the second half for sure, Kyle.
A couple minutes of good possession here, which I'm sure is going to put a smile on Carlos Samuano's face. Staple of his teams, get the lead and then keep the ball. Don't allow the other team to get possession to try and get back into it.
Good turn here by Taylor. Taylor goes down. I don't think he'll get the whistle, but he will get the throw in. That was great back to goal effort there to trap it and then spin off of it. Excellent work by number 9 as Doran will come back on.
Gets a breather. Get those lungs refreshed and come back out for the final 12.
Jack Dorn, one of those players that feels like he's been around for 9 years at Duke's. Played all over the field, started at center forward today.
Those versatile players are a coach's best friend.
Plenty of time for Duke to get that equalizer. Taylor turning, denied by North Carolina.
You can see the urgency is there for Duke. North Carolina defense has been up to the task, though.
That's that blue steel, right, that we talked about earlier with that North Carolina D.
Gray steel tonight.
4 goals against this season, 3 of them in 1 game, to give you an idea of how good this defense is for the Tar Heels.
The other one came in overtime against Wake Forest.
Shells. Sloppy foul against North Carolina. As you see Shells, who's had a really good game, but
I think he was a little bit frustrated from the turnover on the offensive side of things. There was some miscommunication. He tried to play a ball into space. And you see him, he tracked all the way back into the defensive side with Stroud and didn't try to play the ball whatsoever there, just shoved him over.
Peter Stroud. I mentioned his brother now playing for the New York Red Bulls full team, Jared. Clock is stopped. 10 minutes, 2 seconds remaining.
Del Rosario just went down to the ground just outside of the box. I don't know if he's dealing with a cramp possibly.
Remember, they shut him down last year and was able to earn an extra year through just 6 games. For me, he's been the man of the match, though. That brilliant move to find Montez Dioka for the only goal, and his ability to slice and dice, and I just think he's run out of gas.
His play here in the second half is the sole reason that North Carolina has that 1-0 lead. But he's played extended minutes compared to what the Tar Heels have had him play up to this point in this first part of the season. And on a night where it's not really that cool out, it's pretty much stayed consistently about 60, 62 degrees, somewhere in that range.
So Lucas Del Rosario will head to the bench. Out of bounds will be a corner kick for Duke. Garvanyan. He's got the yellow card.
A good story for North Carolina too. He's moved from his original position. A little bit of a collision with the head there. Had him in the midfield last year, moved him to that left back spot.
Smur way off his line. The goal was open and Smur couldn't get to it, but his defense was there to support him. Excellent service on the corner kick for Duke. Had Smur in trouble, but luckily those gray jerseys were behind him to keep this one at 1-0. Duke not done. Another corner kick.
Blue Devils have taken that urgency and intensity up another spot.
9 corner kicks for Duke.
See, you can have all the corner kicks you want when you don't really get anything out of them. They haven't gotten a good look yet.
Top of the 18. Stroud takes a big old swing at it, and you're right, it was denied. Good defensive work coming over. I think that might have even been Rose, who's come off the bench.
That corner looked like the other 9 that they had previously played, where they play a ball into space, but not specifically at an individual player. They're not looking for a run to the back line or playing it short for somebody front post.
Jimenez can come back in the game for Rose, who just had that great effort defensively. So he'll come out. Every Saturday morning, the huddle with Jordan Cornette, Eric McLean, EJ Manuel, and Mark Rick get you ready for ACC football. That's tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern right here on ACCN and the ESPN app. North Carolina pushing forward to get that second goal. Clark almost had the second. He stays with it. Great pass over. There it is. Pushing forward to get the second goal. They drop it to Wada. It's 2-0 North Carolina.
What a goal from Wada. I had my eyes on him, Dean, the entire time. Ball gets put out to midfield. Look at this. Completely gets his legs taken out from under him. Immediately gets up and then paces this attack for North Carolina. Love the cross. Clark stays with it as well to keep it alive. Remember, Clark heavily involved earlier on an almost goal for the Tar Heels. Gets a second opportunity and finds Wada.
So Wada, senior, transfer from Bethel University, and he gets his first goal, and Clark with the assist.
And that's a humongous goal, Dean. Duke had been pushing and pushing the numbers forward, trying to get that equalizer. Now as a North Carolina defense, you can take a little bit of a breather knowing that if you happen to make a mistake and give up a goal, you still got the lead.
Yeah, so important. They were pushing for that second goal, and they get it, courtesy of that man right there. Number 39 opens up his scoring account for the Tar Heels. Great movement, as you said, all the way down the field.
And the fact that he came down flat on his back, I thought he was going to be down hurt at the very least. Wind knocked out of him, but jumped up like he had hit a trampoline and kept it moving.
Carolina looking for the third here. They continue to push. Duke perhaps just a little bit deflated.
A little bit deflated, and you saw that last group of subs come in for North Carolina. Maybe that's given just a little bit extra energy and pace to the attack.
Jimenez. Knocked out of bounds. Hakeem Clark, the freshman from Windsor, Connecticut, has given Carlos Samuano solid shifts in both halves.
He really has, and in situations where you're going so deep into your bench, the score isn't going to matter. They know they're out there battling, trying to prove themselves for more playing time.
Reminding you that, remember, the other side of how this season was broken up after Boston College was not able to go. Louisville and Notre Dame have a big game going on that they actually had to move to the old stadium and delayed their start. So that game is also going on with major implications. This one huge.
That one was supposed to get underway at 7. We thought we'd be able to have a result around halftime and be able to really have a good, clear picture of what the postseason would look, but it's 2020. You can't expect things to go nice and smooth. And they got delayed about an hour and started just about the same time as us.
Our outstanding producer, Evan Badler, telling us it's Louisville 3, Notre Dame 1 right there. And there's that power outage, delayed the start of the game, and they moved over to their old stadium where Randy Waldrum won a ton of games as the women's coach back in the day for Notre Dame. Bobby Clark, famous coach for Notre Dame men's soccer program. And they went back to that old stadium just to try to get it done. 2020, I mean, you just got to roll with it.
That's right. Get it done any way you can. Just be ready to change.
There's the goal scorer, courtesy of a brilliant pass, shifty move from Lucas Del Rosario, but Giovanni Mates Dioca with that first goal. Of course, they added the second one, but if it stays the way it is right now, Mates Dioca with the game winner.
Looks a little bit gimpy as he goes off, but talking with Carlos before the game, this part of the season, you're going to have most of your players a little bit nicked up here and there.
But how good is that ACC tournament going to be? I mean, you saw the firepower of Clemson. Coach Noonan is loaded. Bobby Muse, all they do is win and win and win all the time, right? Jay Vidovich is now giving Pittsburgh that great glory that he brought Wake Forest, so they're going to be dangerous. Notre Dame, Louisville, this North Carolina team. I wouldn't want to play Duke either. I mean, Duke's got some fight in them. If they can just figure out a way to score a few more goals, it's going to be an incredible ACC tournament.
John Kerr told us the tournament starts today. It may not be a tournament game, but it starts today, and you've seen the intensity from these two.
course, Virginia and Virginia Tech, always perennial powers, just like John Kerr Jr.'s Duke Blue Devils.
It's one of the things about the ACC. We talked about it a little bit before with NC State. They don't qualify for the ACC tournament. Haven't picked up a win on the year, but you look at who they played and how well they played against them. Put NC State in a different conference, and I'm willing to bet that they're not just in their tournament, but towards the top of the league.
George Kiefer, the real deal, got it done all the time at USF and got it done his first 3 years at NC State, and still will have time when they pick things back up. February, March. This one right now, North Carolina, though, looking comfortable and looking like they'll have an opportunity to play one more game right here at this beautiful Dorrance Field. A week from Sunday is the date, and that's what was on the line. Carlos Zambrano, as he does in his own style, downplaying that, but they got it done. And they are 1 minute and 50 seconds away from earning that all-important second seed and the ability to host that game.
Talk about the quality of teams, the road it took for North Carolina to get this, where they're going to have that game at home on Sunday at Clemson. A back-and-forth game where they're down by a goal, and they tie it up, and again. 3-3 is what they finally tie that one at.
Carolina looking for their third goal. Finish that thought, Kyle.
You come home, you need 4 points against your two rivals, NC State and Duke. That's exactly what they're able to pull out. A really tough, gritty matchup against the Wolfpack. They get the 0-0 draw, and now the offense comes to life right when they needed it to.
Yeah, excellent point. Both of those games played right here at Dorrance Field. Over a minute remaining. Carlos Zambrano going deep to his bench, which you like to see, because these players that maybe don't get full shifts wouldn't mind scoring one here, even in the final minute. Duke. And that fight of a John Kerr Jr. team. Here's Taylor. Taylor crosses it. Salas will clear it as we're approaching the final 30 seconds of this one. North Carolina started their season in Durham with a 2-0 win over Duke, and depending on what happens here in these final 25 seconds, they may end their part of this COVID season, for lack of a better word, with a 2-0 win over Duke. As Smurr, we came on the air talking about him, and he's got himself another shutout.
They needed him. He came up big when they needed him. Offense did the rest for the Tar Heels tonight.
And with that punt, the North Carolina Tar Heels have earned a #2 seed in a home game a week from Sunday in the ACC tournament. Final score, North Carolina 2, Duke 0.
North Carolina starters had the better of it in the first half. Carlos Zambrano stuck with them in the second half. It pays off, and then the fresh legs of Wada coming on and helping the Tar Heels to get that insurance goal and secure this 2-0 win.